There are moments in life when reinvention isn't a choice, it's a calling. Not the kind that comes softly, but the kind that asks everything of you. Today's guest understands what it means to lead, to serve, and to stand strong, not just in moments of success, but in moments of responsibility, pressure, and deep human need. Bishop Kevin Foreman is a success coach, spiritual leader, and community builder whose work has impacted thousands of lives through faith, education, and wellness. Honored as one of Colorado's most influential men with a reach of over 650,000 people, his leadership extends far beyond the pulpit. But what draws me to this conversation isn't the titles, it's the humanity. The humanity and the understanding that reinvention isn't about becoming someone new, it's about becoming more aligned with who you were always meant to be. Bishop Foreman, welcome to Reinvention Real Talk.
Listen, I am so excited to be with you. What an introduction. My goodness, that is so powerful. I love the entirety of the concept. Big salute to you for what you do to create these conversations that I believe are catalysts to bring transformation in people's lives. Sometimes it's just one conversation that can really make a major difference in somebody's life. So thank you for what you're doing, and I'm so excited to be with you today.
I'm honored to have you. I'm even like, I feel your energy even just through the screen. I love it. So I'm so honored. And I
Yes.
want to get right into it because there's so much that I want to cover in such little amount of time.
Let's knock it out.
Yeah. But I want to let's start with the origin story. I
Yeah.
want to start before your title,
Yeah.
before the influence, before
Yeah.
the recognition.
Yeah.
Who was Kevin Foreman before the calling became public for him?
You know what? And I love how you worded that before the calling became public, because the joke is I came out of my mom's womb with a Bible and a briefcase. I had this affinity towards spirituality and success. And I saw those two things working together. I didn't see that it had to be either or. I think we live in a culture of either or, which is why there's so many people who are frustrated because they think it's this or that when you can be both and that. And so I live a both and life. I don't live an either or life, but I came out the womb. I
Mhm.
just had this affinity towards spiritual stuff. I was a kid who had a little kid study Bible and I was reading it and understanding the stories. But at the same time, I was very entrepreneurial, industrious. I was creating businesses, making business, handling deals. And my stepfather's mother,
Mhm.
as a kid, said something to me that my mother reminded me of the other day. She said, he's going to be running all of y'all when he grows up. And that happened. That's exactly what happened.
You. So you
Yeah.
knew early on that you realized your life was not going to be conventional.
No, I was different. And you know what? I had to learn, and it took me a while to appreciate my difference and not demonize my difference.
Mhm.
Sometimes, especially in the culture we live in, the goal is be like everybody else, be like
Yeah.
them, do this, do that. Why don't you be like everybody else? But there was just something in me that was just like, I'm not like everybody else. You know the song, They Not Like Us, They Not Like Us, I'm not like them. It's just not, it's just that way. And, growing up, you've heard me mention my mom. I have an amazing mom. I'll do something. We just redid this room, and my mom's an interior designer. She's amazing. And in my sticky pad, she wrote me a note. She left me this little note. Love you. And she said she signed the name right there. I mentioned that because I watched my mom be an overcomer. My stepfather was very abusive. He was into drugs. He was a womanizer. He was an abuser. He had a lot of potential that he never tapped into. And sometimes the gift we're given is the example of who not to be.
Yes.
Sometimes we're not just given the picture of who to be or who to aspire or what to do, but sometimes what not to do. And that becomes your motivator. I don't want to be that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to become that. And that's literally what my stepfather was in many ways. But I was able to chew the meat and spit the bone
Yeah.
because he was very charismatic. He could sell ice to an Eskimo, and the Eskimo would think he got a great deal on it. He'd be like, "This is the best deal on ice I've ever gotten." Like there was a lot of great things I was able to extract from him,
Mhm.
chewing the meat and spitting the bone. And he passed away about 2 years ago, and I remember saying this to him because at one point he ended up being a part of my security detail. And I said, isn't
Oh.
it funny how life has changed and life has turned around, that you were protecting me as a kid and now it's reversed. And I said, you have so much talent. I said, you are so smart, you're dumb. I
Mhm.
said, you never tapped into the potential. I used it that way because I knew that language would work
Yeah.
and my understanding. And so I got to see my mom overcome that. I got to see her, push through that, persevere. I got to see what it looks like in real time to fight and win and live again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. I love that. And you got to witness that. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's funny, our roles are reversed. When we
Yes.
get older, we reverse and it exchanges like we become the parents,
Yes.
and you look
Yes.
at them as children. I
Yeah.
love that
Yeah.
story. And that you're
Yeah.
able to witness that. Yeah. Now let's talk about the weight of leadership because that
Yes.
weight is a heavy weight. You shepherd thousands of people.
Right.
Many leaders talk about influence, but
Right.
very few talk about the emotional weight of responsibility. What
Right.
does leadership really cost you personally?
Good question. So I think it's three levels. One, it's the preparation. So we talked about a little bit of some of my early development. But one of the things that that did is that had me to be very parentified. I was a very parentified individual. So as a kid, just imagine I'm seeing myself as the oldest. I've got to protect my mom because I've got this Ike Turner, for those of you familiar with that movie, of a man,
Yeah.
with my stepfather. And then I've got a brother and sister that I've got to protect. So as a kid, I'm very parentified. I'm thinking as a father, as an adult, as a child. And
Yeah.
so what that does is that speeds up a lot of your decision making, your sense of responsibility. I didn't do a lot of other things that kids my age did. I didn't do a lot of spending the night because I thought if I'm gone, who knows what rampage he's going to go on, what drug he's going to be on, what is he going to do? So I got to stay here to be the protector. My mind shifted. Now, I'm bringing that up when you talk about leadership because that was part of the preparation for leadership.
Hmm.
I've been a leader since I was 12. I started my first business when I was 12. And I got in ministry when I was 12. I've been a leader since I was a kid. I was the kid walking around the middle school courtyard, as the president of student council handling issues. I had a whole entourage with me, and I would say, look, check on this person. Are they good? Are they okay? I didn't realize that was all part of the preparation
Hmm.
to sit in the seat of leadership that I would sit in now. And so, for those unfamiliar, a bishop is just a pastor to pastors. So, just like you think of military or you think of anything with a hierarchical structure, every leader needs a leader, every coach needs a coach, every
Yeah.
general needs a general. And so, I was being prepared for that very early on. So that's the first cost is the preparation. When you're going through things and you have no clue why you're going through them.
Hmm.
When you're experiencing things and you have no clue why you're experiencing some of these things that you're experiencing. The
Hmm.
second thing that I would say is that cost is the actual cost of position. If you're going to be on the stage and you're going to call the shots, that also means you have to take the shots.
Yeah.
And I think when you talk about the emotional weight leadership, many people don't realize it's easy to criticize and throw shots at people, and you should do this, and you should do that, and you should do that. But there is a pressure that comes with having to constantly perform,
Yeah.
constantly lead,
Mhm.
constantly be on top of your game. You can't have an off day, a
Yeah.
bad day. You're only as good as the last thing you've done. And
Yeah.
that's just the facts of being the leader. And so you've got preparation, you've got performance, but then I would also say, then you've got some of the problems that come. And the problems deal with, no matter what type of leader you are, you're going to deal with people problems.
Yeah.
You're going to deal with the challenges that come with people. You're going to deal with personal problems. Often, where leaders are very good at publicly, they can often struggle at privately.
Yes.
So you can look at this, for example, a hairdresser. A lot of hairdressers, sometimes you look at their hair and you're like, you might want to use your service. You look at a mechanic, you say, how is your car broken down? And I think
Yes.
that is part of the emotional weight and pressure that comes with sitting in the seat of leadership is
Hmm.
that you're going to deal with problems that often you're going to be very good at helping other people solve, but
Yeah.
you have your own that you've got to navigate through.
Yeah.
So you can see the teacher in me teaching, right? The PPP, I gave you the P,
Yeah.
the,
Yeah.
the preparation, the
Yeah.
position, and then the problems.
It's true what you say when you're in that position that everyone looks up to you. Do you
Right.
feel sometimes like that they look at you like almost like not like you're human, you have feelings, you can have an off day. Do you feel like they look at you like there is no off days? Like you got to be perfect.
Well, you know what? I think I used to think that.
Okay.
Part of my evolution is that I live life as a student. So every day I'm getting better. I'm competing with yesterday's version of myself. I
Hmm.
am in no competition with any other human being. I'm very fine being in my lane, doing what I do.
Hmm.
Hey, I can celebrate you, waving at you while you doing you, but I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And so that pressure is a pressure I took off. I think it's a pressure many leaders put on themselves
Yeah.
but it's a pressure I took off of myself.
Hmm.
I'm a human being and I get to have a human experience. I
Yeah.
sit in a different seat. I influence in a different way. I stand on a different stage. But what that doesn't do is it doesn't take away the fact that I get to enjoy my life too. And so I think some people can look at it that way. And you'll even hear people say it. When someone has an issue, they'll say, well, that person's supposed to be a leader. They're supposed to be a preacher. They're supposed to be a pastor. They're supposed to be an influencer, whatever it is.
Hmm.
And my response to that is, well, aren't you a human being and don't you have issues and don't you make mistakes? So
Yeah.
why would you not give the same grace to people that you want to receive yourself? And so, people may do that, but it's not a pressure I put. I take that pressure off. That's not a pressure I feel.
I love that because that's something everyone should do. And I love how you say you stay in your lane, you'll still wave and cheer for the other
Mhm,
person. And I
mhm.
think if we all adapted that, it would be so much life is not easy as it is, but it would get a little bit easier.
Oh, so much. Because, and again, I look at it, it's like I said, it's one of those things I put that pressure on myself. So I
Yeah.
remember what it felt like, I can't do this, I can't do this, or oh God, what about this? Or oh God, what about this? Like I used to get really,
Yeah.
when you look at even like reputation.
Yeah.
Characters who you really are, reputation is who people think you are. It's
Hmm.
possible to have a great reputation and horrible character,
Hmm.
and it's possible to have a bad reputation and great character. It is possible for those two things to not match up. And I used to get so freaked out about, oh my God, what about this? Oh my God, what about this? What are they going to think? What about? And then I realized people are going to think what they want to think.
Yeah.
So whether what you do or don't do often isn't going to influence that. Most of what they think about you says something about them, not about you. And
Yes.
then number two, I had to really realize that at the end of the day, many people don't like themselves. So
Hmm.
why would I be mad that they do not like me?
Yes. 100%.
Right.
Amen.
Absolutely. You can't get into that. I had a friend of mine who he was a music director for a lot of big known artists, pop artists and stuff like that. And he was telling me one day about how they did this show, a big huge show, hundreds of I say hundreds of thousands, 60 to 100,000 people in some stadium show they were doing. And if I said the name of the artist, everybody would instantly know what I'm talking about. And he was talking about how they did this show, and then he looked in the comments on YouTube and he saw negative comments, and it started to mess with him.
Yeah.
And I said, listen, never ever engage the comments. I said, if you notice, most of the people who have negative critique and negative criticism are
Mhm.
people, one, who they don't even show their face. It's some little meme image or something. But number
Yes.
two, it's people who could never do what you do. So
Hmm.
why would you be critiqued and criticized and take on pressure from people who could never do what you do anyhow?
Yes, 100%. It's like I think I've read where it says, don't ever take advice from someone who's never been in your shoes.
Right? Or whose life you don't want.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
100%. Now, let me ask you this. Who carries you when you're the one everyone leans on?
Oh, this is so good. One, and it's going to be cliche, but it's true. It's God.
Yeah.
So, it is, I think there's two types. There's those who may identify as a Christian, and then there are those who are believers. And I think those are two very different things.
Hmm.
A Christian is one that is, followed. There's a biblical, confess with your mouth, believe in your heart. That's great. But then there is belief. And belief only comes after going through burdensome, baggage filled, bad situations. Like you got to go through there. God has to take you through there. You have to go through valleys
Hmm.
to really become a believer because a faith that's not tested, I believe, is a faith that can't be trusted.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with the test, but how we perform and how we walk through it. So, number one for me,
Hmm.
it's God all day long.
Yes.
That is, He is my rock. Second to that, I keep a tight circle of people that are iron. And I
Hmm.
think sometimes everybody's got to go through people in their life to figure out who's going to be the iron in your life. There's a scripture that says iron sharpens iron. If you're iron and you're trying to get sharpened by aluminum, you're going to be very frustrated because
Yeah.
everything you do is going to cut right through them. They're going to say you're too dominant, you're too bold, you're too aggressive, you're too assertive, you want too much. So I had to find a group for me that was a tight circle that whenever I'm having a moment. I can call them, have
Yes.
my moment, and you got to have people you can be Clark Kent and Superman in front of, and they
Yes.
have to be able to respect both.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in your Superman, they have to clap you on and
Mm-hmm.
cheer for you. And when you're in your Clark Kent, they have to say, I got you. I understand what you're feeling, but we have to keep it moving.
Yes.
So that's the second tier for me, is that group that is, I literally can count them on one hand.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was to call right now and say, we have an issue, they're going to drop what they're doing, get on the phone, go address the issue. They'll let me have my human moment and vice versa. And then say, okay, now, Bishop, what you going to do? What are you going to do? Because we got to move forward.
Yeah.
And I do that for them.
Mm-hmm.
Those are my two tiers right there.
Yes, I
Great
love
question.
that. And it's so important to have that tight group. It's so funny that you said that because actually a few days ago I was having a conversation with someone and they said, you seem like you're really like you don't have a lot of friends, you're closed off. And I said, no, I said, you're wrong. I
Hmm.
said, I have plenty of acquaintances, but I
Right.
have my core three,
Yes.
exactly what you just said, that
Yes.
will drop whatever at the moment I need them, and I will do the same for them,
Yep.
good times, bad times, happiness, sadness. I said, and that is the core that has been in my
Right.
life for, gosh, almost as I've been alive.
Right.
It's
Right.
don't waver. They don't waver. So I love that you said that, and
Yeah.
they were like, oh, I didn't realize that, and so I agree with you. You have that core.
Yeah.
It keeps you straight. Hmm.
It does. And I think for some too, the thought is if I have more people, I'll have more support. And that's not true.
No.
It's having the right people.
Right.
And you can get more done with the right people in your life than you can with the crowd any day. Any day.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, completely agree with you on that. Now, let's go into people often think faith means certainty.
Mm,
Real faith often begins in uncertainty. Have you
yes.
ever had to reinvent your understanding of faith itself and how?
Listen, so we moved our headquarters from Denver.
Mhm.
Denver has been very good to me. Colorado's been very good to me. The accolades, the awards, the impact, which is really most important to me, the lives that were changed, the food we gave away, the people we clothed, the
Mhm.
families we adopted, the almost $1 million we gave away into missions, both domestic and abroad. The
Wonderful.
impact is what's most important to me. So I look at that.
Mhm.
And here we go on this faith journey, relocate our headquarters to Atlanta. I'm going to keep it as 100 as I can with you. I did not want to come to Atlanta, Georgia. I had my list of reasons why, but it was just something I didn't want to do. And I remember we were in a meeting
Mhm.
with some longtime team members, and one of them said, Bishop, you don't want to go to Atlanta. That's probably exactly where God's going to have us to go. And I
Yeah.
said this jokingly. I said, shut up. And I said it jokingly in the meeting. I said, because I knew that's exactly what was going to happen. Long story short,
Mhm.
making that change. And while I will say it has been, 2025 was an amazing year as we get ready in the pre-launch phase to launch a new location here
Mhm.
because we're a hybrid church. We're everywhere. So,
Yeah.
there are literally tens of thousands that are connected everywhere across
Yeah.
America, around the world. But this alone has been a faith journey. And so it has been, interestingly enough, the bird or the emblem for the city of Atlanta is the phoenix. And the
Mhm.
phoenix is this mythological creature
Yep.
that there's no real bird, a phoenix, right? We have cities phoenix, we got a basketball team phoenix,
Yeah.
all of that. But there's no real bird. It's a mythological creature that would set itself on fire
Mhm.
after it reached the end of a certain stage of life, reinvent itself, resurge, renew better than it was before. This keeps going on. And I thought that was so interesting that of all places, I'd be sent here
Mhm.
to have this Phoenix moment. And literally, I was like, everything's fine. I have no reason, no need to leave Denver. Everything has been amazing. What we've built, it's amazing testament to God's faithfulness and goodness. But this has been a journey. So I often look at it like this. And I said it before, if a faith and your faith can't be tested,
Mhm.
your faith can't be trusted.
Yeah.
The opposite of the opposite of faith isn't fear, it is certainty, which
Mhm.
means I've got to be okay not being certain,
Yeah. And
right?
it's
I
hard.
have
It's
to.
hard.
Oh, it's very hard. And you know what? It's really hard. It's not as difficult. And I think this is something most people never talk about. Unpopular opinion and belief. It's easier to have faith when you have done nothing so far.
Mm.
When you have done something, it becomes more difficult to have faith because now you are tethered to the reality of what you've created. And the uncertainty makes you feel like I can't lose all of what I've built and all of what I've done.
Yeah.
That is a more difficult place to have faith than when you're starting from scratch with nothing. Because if you haven't done anything yet,
Hmm.
then what is it that you have to lose? But if
Yeah.
you've done something and now you got to step out on faith, now you got to reinvent yourself.
Yeah.
That's a much more difficult place to have faith, because
Hmm.
now you have something that you're looking at to say, if I let go of this and I
Hmm.
embrace this, which is totally uncertain, what is
Yeah.
it going to be?
Yes. Yeah. And it is very difficult. It's very difficult. And in times, and like you said, I'm very spiritual,
Mhm.
and I feel like I always say my main man is God.
Yep.
He doesn't let me down. The
Yep.
times I'm gonna fall, I don't
Yep.
know how I'm gonna get up. Oh my goodness, what's gonna go on? He comes through
Right.
in ways that I never have imagined, and there is
Yep.
never once in my life. And I'm a person that I have 20 tabs open in my head. I'm an overthinker, and I go over and I say, "Nope, put your faith in God." And I tell him,
Yep.
"God, I am in your hands." And
Yep.
never ever 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 has he failed me. Never.
No,
Yeah.
no. And I
And
think I think that recognition too, really it's just that simple. Is
mhm,
like, so when has he failed?
mhm.
Never. So why am I concerned that this is going to be a failure? Shouldn't
Yeah.
be. And
Yeah.
that becomes the peace. Like often when people think about peace, again, here's another unpopular but very accurate opinion and
Mhm.
belief, is that, the Bible talks about he'll give us peace that surpasses all understanding. It never says that what we're dealing with will be peaceful,
Yeah.
which means you can be in a storm, but you have peace in the storm. Doesn't mean that it's
Yeah.
peaceful.
Yeah.
You can be in transition, but you've
Mhm.
got peace in transition. You can be in chaos, but there's cosmos that's going on the inside of you. And I think that recognition is super important, because life is going to be a continual series of reinventions.
Mhm.
Either you die, which is what status quo means, slow death, or you evolve, you reinvent, you be the phoenix. And sometimes the best thing to do is to be able to set yourself on fire so your situation doesn't have to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Figuratively
Absolutely.
speaking, of course. Figuratively speaking,
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I don't want anybody messaging me saying, that
Yeah,
man
yeah,
said to set
exactly.
myself on fire. Right, right.
We're not telling you to go out and do that. We're
No,
just it's a
no.
figure.
Right.
Yes, and even in times of where it has been so hard, and I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, God, you only give it to your strongest soldiers. Why are you giving it this to me? I think you think
Right.
I'm one of your strongest soldiers. How do I get through it? You get through it. You
You
get
get
through it.
through it.
Do
You
it. You
do.
learn your lesson. Yeah. Yes. And if you don't learn your lesson, you're going to repeat that lesson.
Got to repeat that lesson, which is why if you live like a student, it
Yeah.
makes life so much more enjoyable. Because if
Yes.
you're an expert and you make a mistake, it's like, you feel so devastated because you're supposed to
Yeah.
be the expert. When you
Yeah.
live like a student, it's like, okay, I learned something.
Yeah.
Okay, I learned something. Okay, I
Yeah.
learned something. And I think that's true for relationships. A lot of people get devastated if
Mm-hmm.
a relationship doesn't work out. They think, oh, how did I make this mistake? It didn't get your failure. You didn't fail. You just found somebody that wasn't a fit for you. That's all. If
Exactly.
you live life as a student, it's like, okay, I just found what doesn't work. I keep
Yeah.
it moving. I just
Yeah.
found who's not a fit. I keep it moving. Maybe it's a business that doesn't go well. You didn't
Yeah.
fail. I just found a way not to do it, because you got to keep living life as a student.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you use the Bible, it talks about making disciples. All that means is a student. Let
Yeah.
us go into the world and make students. So if I live as a student, I'm not devastated that that didn't work. I just learned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I want to talk about humility. Not the
Yes.
but the lived experience.
Yep.
So I want to know what has humbled you the most in your journey.
You know what? One, recognize. I would say three things.
Mhm.
One, recognizing that everything is grace. It's
Mm,
all God's grace and goodness.
yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
and grace is when God gives us something good we don't deserve. Mercy is when God blocks something negative we do deserve.
Mhm.
One, recognizing that. So before you start thinking, I'm so this, I'm so this, I'm so that, I'm so that, recognize it's all grace and mercy. The difference between your life and somebody else's life, it's grace and mercy and his favor. And so you recognize that you've got to give credit to God. That's
Yeah.
one. Number two, as I look through life, is you recognize how easily and quickly people can change.
Mhm.
That they can shop for you one day and
Yeah.
the next day say, please remove me from your email list.
Yes.
Right? You can be the best
Yeah.
thing since sliced bread one day,
Yeah.
and then the next day, it's like, I don't even like bread anymore. Now they're like, they're protein only, type of thing. Like,
Yes.
they don't even
Yeah.
want to,
Yeah.
that type of thing. When you recognize how quickly and easily people can change,
Mhm.
it gives you a sense of appreciation for people who are consistent and loyal with you and to you. But it also helps you to realize that at any moment, things can change.
Mhm.
So just keep it moving, and don't Don't believe your hype.
Hmm.
Don't read your own news.
Yeah.
Which doesn't mean, and I want to say this too, because sometimes people think that means that humility is looking down on yourself.
Mm-mm.
I'm not this. No, humility just means I don't think more highly of myself than
Yes.
I ought to. It doesn't mean I don't think highly of myself. Like, you can't walk around, oh, I'm nothing, oh, I'm just, no, like that's not, like, you can't tell me God got on the cross and died so you could walk around with your head down telling me everything you're not. That's not the truth. It's not the case. Paul
Mhm.
says I can do all things. So recognizing how quickly people can change. And number three, when I look at my own life, some of the things that have brought great humility to me is recognizing that there is this inward desire for more.
Mm.
And how does that bring humility? It's because while I reach a goal and an accomplishment, because there's always this inward desire to grow for more, to achieve more, to accomplish more, I never sit on the mountain of what I've done
Mhm.
saying, look at all of what I've done, because I'm looking at the next mountain for what I want to do next. And for me, that keeps it so that a lot of times when I do, especially when I do interviews, people go through some of the accolades and all of that. And I'm reminded of it because I don't even consciously keep it on
Yeah.
my mind. It's
Yeah.
not like I sit up and say, look at all of what I've, no, I don't
Yeah.
even keep it on my mind. It's not something I even actively think about
Mhm.
because my mind has already moved on to what is to be accomplished next, what's to
Yes.
be done next. And so
Mhm.
I think that will help everybody if you know, okay, I'm reaching for something new, I'm going for
Mhm.
something new, I'm desiring something new. And those three things really help to keep me in a place where I don't think more highly of myself than I ought to. I don't think low of myself, but I'm certainly not. And you meet people like that who just, they're just pumped up and they just think they are, they're the best things and this
Yeah.
and I get people who act like that, and I recognize that you just haven't had people turn on you yet.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just don't have something you're reaching for, and you think you did this, and
Mhm.
God will show you that it wasn't you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100. That was beautiful, by the way. I love that. But
Thank you.
we
Thank you.
do want to talk about community service and mission.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
you have a foundation through
Yep.
Harvest Foundation. Your work has created real, measurable change. Why was it important to you that your leadership translate into tangible action?
Oh, so good. Because I think, I think about that story that says that on a tombstone, the date you're born, the year you're born, the year you exit,
Yeah.
and the dash. And the dash is the smallest part on the tombstone, but it is the most significant part because it represents your story. It represents what you left in the earth, what you did in the earth. And so for me, I said, when I leave the earth, I want my work to still speak. It's
Okay.
just that simple. When I exit the earth, I want people to remember not just quote unquote who he was, but I want people to remember what we did, the lives that were impacted, the lives that were changed. And so this is why I'm dogmatic about it. If we're not doing something to create substantive, positive change in the lives of people, if you were to stop existing, would it ever matter to anyone that you did exist? So
Mm.
for me, it's all about that. We exiting the Christmas season, for example, and we give away. We just crossed now the 28,000 toy mark of
Wow.
toys that we've given away, and I look at that and I think about the families. I think about the fathers that have tears in their eyes, saying, "Bishop, if you wouldn't have done this, my kids weren't going to have Christmas." The moms, again, while I had a stepfather, I was effectively raised by a single mom because he was in and out of jail
Yeah.
or what have you. I think about the single moms that say, you know what, if you didn't do this, my kids aren't going to have anything, and seeing the smiles on kids' faces. I think about when we gave away. A few years ago, I had shed 95 pounds. And total, now it's like a total 120 pounds.
Wow.
And I had all these clothes. And so, long story short, I ended up giving them all away. We did something called Thanksgiving Throwdown. So I got the entire church there in Denver to participate with me. So we filled the auditorium because there was no room in the campus big enough. We had to bring it into the auditorium
Uh-huh.
of clothes and shoes and all of that. And it was important to me that we didn't just give away, scraps. I said, bring nice stuff, dry clean the stuff, have the stuff clean, have the stuff pressed. We
Mhm.
bust in men from transitional homes and halfway houses and things like that. And I had the privilege, and I say it just like that,
Mm.
of fitting men. I was their stylist for the day. We fed them, and then afterwards, many men, they had never worn a suit. They had never tied a tie. They never knew how to do any of those things. So I had the privilege of being able to get those men fitted, get them together. I put their outfits together for them. Like I was a whole stylist for a day and
Wow.
doing that. And I remember to this day, we still get communication from men who say, you gave me the first suit, you gave me the first tie. What you did had this ever, this impact in my life. I will always remember it. That was now going on 12 plus years ago that we did that. But we're doing stuff like that all the time.
Yeah.
So to me, the impact matters because, at a certain point, you're going to exit the earth and you can't take your money with you. You can't take property with you. You can't take your IRA, your 401k, and all those things are good to have, but you're not taking any of that with you. The
Yeah.
only thing you get to take with you is the lives that you impacted, the legacy that you left in the earth. And I think if every person thought that way, lived that way,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the issues we see in culture and society, everybody in their own way, it builds up to something much more significant. Just like the people who are watching right now, they're watching and they're receiving and they're connected to you because they want to do their part to make their impact, in lives.
I love what you just said. I love what you guys just did. What do you call it? Thanksgiving Throwdown.
Yeah, Thanksgiving Throwdown. Yeah,
That is so beautiful because it does impact people's lives, you know. It just, like you said, a simple tie, a suit that we take for granted,
right.
literally change someone's life and give them, what they don't feel, that courage to go out and do something and better their lives. And just because of that one simple suit or that one tie, I can be someone else, and it changes their lives.
Absolutely.
Different light.
And I think too, when you really look at families and you look at the dynamic of challenges and different things that people go through and people experience, I think it really sets you up to understand that sometimes, you are not sometimes, but all the times you are blessed to be a blessing.
Hmm.
And so when you recognize that, you didn't just get blessed just to be blessed. You're blessed to be a blessing. You are blessed to do something for other people, to encourage other people, to build other people. And so,
Yeah.
that's how I live my life. I live my life looking for opportunities to
Mhm.
be a blessing. And
Yeah.
because of that, I stay blessed.
Yes.
So, some people say, well, how do you do this? And I stay blessed because I'm
Yeah.
always blessing. And I won't apologize for staying blessed, but I always make sure I keep myself in a position to
Mhm.
be a blessing. And,
Yeah.
and somebody might say, well, Bishop Foreman, where can I start? You could just go get some gift cards, keep them with you,
Hmm.
be a blessing. You can share this podcast right now because somebody needs to hear this and be a blessing. Sometimes we're looking for these huge ways to do it. And the
Yeah.
reality is sometimes you can start right where you are, as small as it might be, because you never know the
Hmm.
impact that you're going to have on somebody's life.
100%. Now, let me ask you, what do you believe is broken in communities today that leadership alone can't fix?
Ooh, this is good. I would think, I think everything rises and falls on leadership.
Okay.
I think though, with that, when you look at communities, I think there's a basic sense of decency that leadership alone can't fix. Where and I was having a conversation about this yesterday. I said we live in a culture where it used to be just dog eat dog in the business world. I said it's
Right.
like dog eat dog with everybody, everywhere, all the time.
Yeah.
I think just general decency to other human beings, understanding, just that basic premise, I think is one. And I think leadership alone can't fix that. I think that is there has to be a cultural resistance that everybody says, you know what? I'm just going to be decent to people. And I'm not going to go in and trying to get over on people, trying to take advantage of people. That's just something, especially, I got to be honest, here being in Atlanta, which, again, I was born in Denver, reared in Memphis.
Yeah.
So when I came to Atlanta, I thought this was going to be the South. And I
Hmm.
said, this is not the South.
No.
This is just a big city in the South.
Yes.
And this, I'm like, dog eat dog. I was like, you got to be a Rottweiler. I mean,
Yeah.
like, just general decency.
Hmm.
Number two, I think, is the desire to see, a sense of ownership of your tribe, your community, whatever that is. So if it's maybe a church
Hmm.
group, or maybe it's your family, whatever it is, a sense of ownership. Owners think different than renters in this way. A
Okay.
renter says, I'll give this up at some point. An owner says, I'm keeping this for the long term. Why is that mentality change important? Because if you think like an owner, you'll protect it because you want to preserve it.
Yeah.
And I think if we thought that way about community, whatever that looks like for every person, even if that's just, you and your daughter, or you and your husband, whatever it might be, whatever person's situation is,
Hmm.
thinking like an owner versus just a renter in that regard,
Hmm.
that's not something leadership alone can fix. And the last thing I would say, is, there's a whole lot going on in the world. And I think leadership alone can't fix what I believe is intentional ignorance in many ways.
Yeah.
Like, get educated,
Mm-hmm.
get the knowledge, get the facts about everything from politics
Yeah.
to whatever it might be.
Yeah.
I am often shocked and surprised
Mm-hmm.
when I look at some of the things that people just don't know.
Yeah.
And they'll swear up and down, it's this. I'll say, that's just not the facts. The
Yeah.
facts are this. Well,
Yeah.
show it to me. You show it to them, like, well, I don't know if I like, how do you not believe? Like, I promise you this is pink.
Yeah.
Like, like this is
And they're
pink.
looking at you saying it's green, it's green, it's green, and it's
It's green.
yeah.
It's a conspiracy. There's something in there. That paper, like, come on, y'all. Like, so I don't think leadership alone can fix that.
Yeah.
I think anytime there's a problem, here is an opportunity
Mm-hmm.
for everybody to engage, and I don't think leadership alone can fix that because leadership is not responsible for your own personal self education.
Yes, yes. And that is one of the things I have two children and I tell them constantly, don't be a follower.
Hmm.
You don't have to be a leader for yourself.
Hmm.
Investigate, look it up, like you say, educate yourself, make sure you know, and that decision is
Yep.
coming from you. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So true. So
Yeah.
true. And I think too, it's so easy to follow because I mean, you look at social media. What did it hit? What do you call them? Followers.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
I mean, it's in bed and it's
Yeah.
programmed into us. I follow someone to see what they say. I follow someone to see what they say. I follow someone to see what they say.
Yeah.
So it has become the subconscious substratum of culture that
Hmm.
everybody's a follower now.
Yeah.
Everybody's a follower of somebody.
Yeah.
And while on one hand that could be great, on the flip hand, that does not excuse or obfuscate you from the portions that you have got to take care of. And leadership is not responsible for that. I'm responsible for my own knowledge.
Yes. Now, let me talk about, or I want to ask you about guidance for those at a crossroad, because many of our
Yep.
listeners, they're successful, they're
Yep.
accomplished,
Yep.
but they're still quietly asking, is this it?
Yep.
So, what would you say to someone who feels called to more, but is
Yep.
afraid of disrupting the life they have already built?
Yep. Here's the statement I would say.
Hmm.
You overvalue what you have and
Hmm.
you underestimate what you could achieve if you
Hmm.
change.
I love that. Hmm.
That's it right there, right? And so what we have to do is realize that this isn't your best.
Hmm.
This has been your best, but
Hmm.
better is available. You haven't met every person that's going to love you. You haven't met every person you're going to do business with. You haven't accomplished every achievement. You've not done it all. And here's how we know:
Hmm.
you still have a pulse. So if you still have a pulse, that means there's still a plan, there's still a play, there's still more life to live.
Hmm.
And so the risk becomes where, and to your point, well, how do I do that? And I don't want to risk all these things that I've built. I don't want to risk all these things that I've done.
Yeah.
Is it a risk or is it an investment?
Mm.
But isn't it true that every investment involves risk? So if you're not willing to invest, investing is what got you to where you are.
Hmm. Yeah.
Taking risks is what got you to where you are. So why would you stop that to preserve where you're at when you know there's more?
Hmm.
That desire for more is the thing that makes you different from everybody else.
Hmm.
Because some people are settlers and then some people are success. You got to pick which one you want to be. Both are hard. It's hard to settle. It's hard to be successful. Pick your heart.
Yes.
Decide your heart. So I would say to those, and I get that again, using my own example,
Hmm.
I did not need to move and move my whole headquarters and all of the things that go along with it. Like that's a whole lot to
Yeah,
move and make such a significant move.
it is a huge.
It's huge, especially when you don't have to. There was no
Yeah.
pressing reason to do that other than it was something divine. And I
Yes.
think the reality for everybody is if you feel more, but you're feeling that risk. I often say this to people when I'm coaching them one on one, whether they're a CEO, an executive, whatever the background, is how do you eat an elephant? And when I ask people that question, they'll say, "What do you mean eat an elephant?" They do that same face you just did. Eat an elephant. What are you
Huh?
talking about eating elephants? This is weird. What type of spiritual stuff is this? This is crazy.
Yeah.
Well, my point is that but we don't eat elephants, obviously. But
Mhm.
but it's a big, huge undertaking. It's a huge animal, and
Yeah.
everybody eventually gets to the same answer. They say, "Well, one bite at a time."
Mhm.
So that's the same way you're going to have to make transition and change in your life,
Yeah.
one bite at a time. It
Mhm.
only seems insurmountable because you were trying to eat the whole elephant at one time.
Yeah. I
Take
was in the same
one bite.
place. Yeah. And the
One
bite
bite
first
of
is
that.
always the hardest.
Exactly. One bite and then another bite and then another bite. And before you know it, you've consumed the whole thing. You've done the whole thing. And I think that for, especially for people who've achieved success and have gotten to certain levels of life, it's again, it can be a very difficult conversation because it's harder to have faith there
Mhm.
than it is when you've not achieved or accomplished anything.
Yeah.
I'll just use a quick biblical example. Most people know the story David Goliath, right? They did a whole movie about it. It's a big topic right now in pop culture. Well, the reality is this: most people think David only fought one giant. You
Mm.
only know about the one. David fought four giants after Goliath. And the
Wow.
second giant, when he fought this one, he was tired. He was weary. But more importantly, he now had experience of success. So now that is operating as a form of fear that will I be successful with this one the way I was with that one?
Mm-hmm.
And literally, God has to send this guy named Abishai, whose name means help. So
Okay.
let this podcast today be your help. This is your help. Like, come in and let's take this next giant down.
Mhm.
He needed Abishai to help him take that next giant down. And I think for many people, that's just what you need. You knew how to take Goliath down, but
Yeah.
this next one, you just need some help. That's
Mm-hmm.
all. And let this be your help. Let this be your confirmation. Let
Hmm.
this be your sign. Let this be whatever you need. Let
Yeah.
this be your perfect constellation in this, whatever. Let this be that. Because sometimes you just need help.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yep.
and it's so hard to ask for. So many
Yep.
people, yeah, it's so hard to ask for help.
Yep.
But I love that you said that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when all is said and done, beyond titles and accolades, what do you hope people felt because of your leadership?
Number one, loved.
Mm,
That people would feel loved. I go back and again, I go back to reference her because again, she did such an amazing job.
mm-hmm.
But my mother, one of the things we did as a kid is we would go around the house and say, "Good night, love you, good night, love you, good night, love you, good night, love you, good night, love you." To this day,
Yeah.
we still do that to this day, and I say that too because sometimes I realize everybody doesn't necessarily have those types of relationships with
Hmm.
a parent or guardian or whatever.
Yeah.
But whatever you do have, you have to cherish it and take advantage of it.
Yeah.
And the feeling of love is such a powerful feeling
Hmm.
because with love comes acceptance. With love comes, wanting and desire for. So I would want people to feel that, you know what, at the end of the day, every time heard that man, every time I listened to him, every time I was around him, even if he had to tell me something tough or difficult, I knew I was loved.
Hmm.
Second thing that I would say is that what I would want people to experience for me, in terms of your question, is a sense that they were challenged to be the very best version of themselves.
Hmm.
At the end of the day, you got lots of people who are rooting for your failure, who want to see you stay stagnant, who want to
Yeah.
see you come down. And I always like to be the person saying, "Go get it, do
Yeah.
it, go get it." For those who
Yes.
remember Arsenio Hall,
Yeah.
like I like to be that person. I am in the background, or I am on the side, or as I'm coaching or looking, or if it's whatever the context is
Hmm.
of how a person engages with me. I want to see them win. I want to see them do well, and to know that when I read people's testimonies and praise reports and celebrations of great things that have happened in their life, I celebrate with them
Hmm.
because I get to be a part of the story. You know, when I think of some of the seven-figure people
Hmm.
that we mentor. We started measuring how many seven-figure people we create and six-figure people create. And I think back to one lady, she was starting her business from scratch. This was 3 years ago. Starting her business from scratch. She didn't know what she was going to do, how she was going to move, how she was going to proceed. And we started the business, we built a plan the whole night. Her business did, after 2 years, she was seven-figure earner. And I believe her business did something like $2 to $3 million last year. I think
Wow.
to the man who got out of prison 5 years ago and his business did, $3 million last year. I think about one of the gentlemen who came to me a few years ago. His business was capping out at like a half a million a year. Last year, he sent me at the end of this last year, he sent me his tax returns. He did $7 million.
Wow.
And I got tons of other stories. My point is, it's not about the money, it's about that impact. It's about the
Exactly. Yes.
impact.
The
Yep.
impact is amazing. Yes. Now, you've just given us like so many gems. This has been an incredible interview, and I want those that do not follow you, where can they
Yeah.
find and seek your guidance out?
Absolutely. On every social media platform at Bishop Foreman, BishopForeman, just like George. Now, I'm going to say, if you go to TikTok, there's 100 fake profiles of me, like literally 100 fake profiles. So just look for the one with the blue check, Bishop Foreman. You'll know it's me. All of mine is blue check.
Yes.
But Bishop Foreman, you can go to bishopforeman.com. I got books on there, messages. If people want to check out the services, podcasts, teachings, our live schedule. All of that is available. We literally have something for everybody, every walk of life, every race, every creed, every color, every background. It doesn't matter what your story is. We've got something that's going to speak to everybody's life.
I love that. And we're going to put it all in the show notes for those that are listening. So you're going to be
Love it.
directed right into his accounts. So definitely follow him. I mean, I found you on Instagram and then somehow I connected with someone on your team. And
That
then
is
when we spoke,
crazy.
absolutely, I want him on. It was like, it's like we
Wow.
say, God makes it happen, you know?
There you go. But see, you know what I love about that? So I didn't know that part. So what I love about that is, again, you just never know how just doing what you do is going to
Mhm.
impact and change life. That is so amazing. That is that see, and this energy. So you see me all the time. Like, this is my energy all the time.
That is your
This is
energy.
not.
Yes. Yes.
I'm not putting on. I don't.
Yeah, no.
I stay this way because I believe we've been given the greatest gift. We've been given the gift of life. So why walk around sad and mad and frowned up and angry? No,
Mhm.
like, we hit the jackpot. Like, let's
Yeah.
live it up. Let's live our best lives. Make as much impact and transition as we can. Because at the end of the day,
Mhm.
as one rapper would say, the day's going to end.
And I love that you said that it's a gift. There's two things that brings to mind that for me personally on an impact level. Every time, when you go to a restaurant and what are you celebrating? My answer is always life. God gave
Life.
me another day. Life. I'm here
Yes.
for life. And then there is above I have like a tray ceiling in my bedroom, and above it, I'm Hispanic, so I speak Spanish. And I found it in Spanish, and it said, Bendizca este dia, which is bless this day. And every morning that I open my eyes, that is the first thing I see. Even those days that I don't want to get out of bed, I look at that sign and I'm like, get up. God
Yep.
opened your eyes for a reason. Let's go. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and
You get we hit the jackpot. That's what I mean. We hit the jackpot.
it
And
is,
why
it
be
is.
mad? Why be frustrated? Why be angry? You're gonna have some stuff that does that to you, but at the end of the day, when you think of it like this, the average lifespan is somewhere between 76
Hmm.
and you're just under 80 years old. Let's just round up to 80.
Yeah.
So most people think, "Oh, it's forever." Well,
Hmm.
really, like, that means like 40 is middle age. Most of us like think 50 is middle age, but like,
Yeah, it's not.
most people aren't living to 100.
Hmm.
So let's just say there's that. Think of it this way: that's 80 summers,
Hmm.
80 falls,
Yeah.
80 winters, 80
Hmm.
springs. When you break it down that way, that's not a lot.
So quick. So
That's
quick.
not a lot. So
Hmm.
I refuse to spend my day mad and
Yeah.
frustrated and no, like, no, I hit the jackpot. I'm gonna eat good, live good, have a good day, celebrate life,
Yes.
achieve success, but realize that at the end of the day, I hit
Hmm.
the jackpot.
Hmm.
Yeah.
100%. Yes. Now, Bishop Foreman, now I asked this question out of every one of my guests. It is the last question I ask.
All right.
One word. What is reinvention for you?
Life.
Life.
Life is reinvention.
Hmm.
I am not who I used to be. I'm in competition with yesterday's version of myself.
Yep.
By tomorrow, I will be a reinvented version of myself.
Yes.
The day after that, I will be a reinvented version of myself. To me, reinvention, it is life. That is life. Embrace it. Love it.
I love that answer. Yes. Bishop Foreman, thank you for reminding us that reinvention is not about abandoning who we are, but answering the call to grow deeper, lead wiser, and serve more intentionally. To my listeners, always remember that reinvention doesn't always come wrapped in excitement. Sometimes it comes as responsibility, and sometimes a quiet knowing that it's time to evolve. This has been such an honor. Thank you, Bishop Foreman, for being here with me, giving us all this insight and all that wonderful, beautiful God given energy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And again, big salute to you. Keep going. What you're doing is needed and impacting lives. And you never know the extent of that impact. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you. To my listeners, until next time, I am your host, Karen Larea, and this has been Reinvention Real Talk.